All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about a topic that you've probably heard a lot about lately, intermittent fasting. But today, we're going to cut through all the noise, get past the hype, and look at the actual hard science. What is it really doing inside our bodies?
So let me ask you something. We've spent decades obsessing over what we eat, right? Calories, carbs, fats, the whole deal. But what if when you eat is just as important? A ton of new research is pointing in that exact direction, suggesting that timing might just be one of the most powerful tools we have for our health.
So what are we even talking about when we say intermittent fasting? Look, it's actually pretty simple. Forget about those restrictive diets that tell you what you can and can't eat. This isn't about that. It's just a schedule. It's about when you eat. You basically create specific times for eating and, well, for not eating. And that simple switch gives your body a chance to flip into some really important metabolic modes.
Okay, so let's get to the heart of it. Why does this seem to work so well for so many people? Well, it all boils down to its ability to fight something called insulin resistance. And trust me, this is a huge deal. It's at the root of so many of our modern health problems.
Think of it this way. Insulin is kind of like the key that unlocks your body's cells to let sugar in for energy. But with insulin resistance, your cells start getting, well, lazy. They start ignoring the key. It's like insulin is ringing the doorbell over and over, but nobody's answering. So what happens? All that sugar just builds up in your blood, and your body has to pump out even more insulin to try and force the door open. Fasting, it turns out, is like a master locksmith that helps reset that whole system.
And look, this isn't just some nice idea. We've got the data to back it up. The clinical proof is pretty solid. Take the popular 16-8 fasting schedule. One study showed it led to a significant drop in something called HOMA-IR, which is basically the gold standard for measuring insulin resistance. But that's not all. They also saw big drops in fasting glucose and better HbA1c levels. These are real, measurable changes.
And you know what's really amazing is who this helps. It's not just for one specific group of people. We're seeing these incredible improvements in insulin sensitivity across the board. We're talking older adults, people with type 2 diabetes, patients with fatty liver disease, even women dealing with PCOS. It just goes to show how fundamental this mechanism really is.
Right, so once you start fixing that insulin resistance, what happens? Well, it's like a domino effect, a really, really good one. Getting your insulin response back on track creates this positive ripple that starts to improve all sorts of other important health numbers. And the first domino to fall? Your blood sugar.
Yeah, the most immediate thing you see is better blood sugar control. And we're not just talking about one or two studies here. A massive review of the research, a meta-analysis, found that all kinds of fasting schedules lead to major drops in both fasting blood sugar and HbA1c. You know, that's the one that gives you your 3-month average. For anyone trying to manage or even prevent diabetes, this is, well, it's a potential game changer.
And believe it or not, better blood sugar is just the start. That ripple effect keeps going, right into your cholesterol numbers. The science consistently shows fasting helps knock down the bad guys. We're talking total cholesterol, that nasty LDL cholesterol, and triglycerides. And at the same time, it can give a boost to HDL, the good guy cholesterol that actually helps clean out your arteries. I mean, for heart health, that's a huge, huge win.
Okay, so we've talked about the numbers on your lab reports. But what about the stuff you can actually see and feel? Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Fasting has this incredible ability to cool down chronic inflammation. Think of it like a hidden fire inside your body, and it can literally change your body's composition.
You know, so many of the big chronic diseases we face today, heart disease, diabetes, you name it, they all have this one thing in common: low-grade chronic inflammation. It's like your body's alarm system is stuck in the on position, and it just wears everything down over time. And this is where fasting really shines. The science is showing it acts like a potent, natural anti-inflammatory.
So how in the world does it do that? It's actually a really cool process. When your body gets a break from digesting food all the time, it can finally switch gears. It goes into this housekeeping mode. Seriously, it gives your cells the time they need to repair things and take out the trash, all the damaged stuff that causes inflammation in the first place. So while that's happening, your body starts to turn down the volume on the signals that cause inflammation and turns up the volume on the ones that fight it. It's this perfect 1-2 punch that puts out that internal fire.
And of course, there are the changes you can actually see on the scale and in the mirror. Study after study shows that fasting leads to real drops in body weight and BMI. But here's the kicker, and this is probably the most important part. It shrinks your waistline. And that's not just about fitting into your old jeans. That fat around your middle, visceral fat, is a major factory for inflammation.
So shrinking that is one of the best signs that your metabolic health is truly getting better.
Okay, so let's pull all these pieces together. What's the big picture here? The takeaway is that intermittent fasting is way more than just another health fad. The evidence is pointing to it being a seriously powerful tool, a legitimate strategy with a whole bunch of uses for getting our metabolic health back on track.
And just look at the range of people who are seeing real clinical benefits. We're seeing it move the needle for people managing type 2 diabetes and obesity, for women with PCOS, for folks with metabolic syndrome, and even for people with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. The list just keeps growing.
Hey, and don't just take it from me. I want to read you a direct quote from the research this is all based on. It concludes that there is, and I quote, "a robust body of clinical evidence supports the utility of fasting strategies." Robust. That's not a word scientists throw around lightly. That's a really strong statement, and it's based on a whole lot of data.
And all of this leaves us with one last kind of mind-blowing thought to chew on. Think about it. For nearly all of human history, we didn't have 3 meals a day plus snacks. Fasting wasn't a strategy, it was just life. Our bodies are literally built to handle cycles of eating and not eating. So it makes you wonder, right? Is this new discovery really new at all? Or are we just rediscovering an ancient, powerful health tool that's been built into our biology all along?